Hello everyone, hello Amazon shoppers. I wanted to provide a little more of a visual representation of why I think that these STEALTHO casters are pretty much, at least nowadays, and most definitely with whatever you are buying right now, pretty much a manufacturer garbage. I don't know how about you, but I fell in love with this single rollerblade design casters ever since I saw them, and especially ever since I used ones. They are unparalleled when it comes down to smoothness on any surface and silence. They are completely silent. And with my very first purchase, which were one of those you see in the background, very generic, no-name design, I was happy up until about 6 months when basically the main major flaw, as you probably read about in other negative reviews for these or probably for any other wheels, really showed up. And so what is the problem? Well, with this design where you have a single wheel and the construction of these wheels actually undergo quite a lot of force when they are moving, and especially when they are rotating. So imagine that you are near your table, and you start moving away from your table, and first your wheels would move, and then they would do that 180-degree turn, and they would continue moving. Now, as you usually, let's say you move away from a table with a good speed, and as it would get that 90-degree bend, this is where it would have to stop, and there will be friction because this is rubber or polyurethane. It has good friction against your floor, and it would now start applying force, which would eventually cause to this whole stem design to slowly but steadily loosening up. This is a brand new wheel, as you can see, and so it's pretty much okay. However, eventually what will happen after a couple of months, and this is also depending on some factors like your weight. For example, I am a heavy boy, and also how much you use your chair, defining or ultimately telling us how fast the degradation will take in place. If you work from home, if you are an unsettled sitter and you have to move around every couple of seconds or minutes around, or you just simply move away from a table often, it would degrade or accelerate the degradation process. Now, it's hard to show you that on these new ones, what will happen. So let me move to these, to those which are on the floor to show you what will happen. Now, these are probably what you have already saw, whether on Amazon or anywhere else. You'll find out that about 50% of all those look exactly like this. This is a very generic design. They usually cost much less or to just little less. And they have a slightly different design. The surface finish is not as nice as those STEALTHOs. And they have also a slightly different stem design. And it's a very crucial point. Now, STEALTHO themselves are actually selling two versions. So if I show you here, so this is a listing for those blue ones you see in the background, those I got, but they also have a black version. When I saw it the first time, first thing I noticed is, hey, this top cap looks awfully similar to these generic ones. Now they are slightly different. You can see that the angle of this metal bracket is a little different. It will probably have a nicer surface finish. Of course, some branding, because why not? However, I believe that those black versions are exactly like this. And I am not even going to talk about those, because those and these are really 100% manufacturer garbage, which is going to show its garbageness to you very, very soon after you start using those. Those blue ones have one redeeming quality, but will ultimately become a manufacturer garbage as well. Let me quickly show you what will happen with these. So you get those. This is near new condition. There is some wobble. These were used for probably maybe 2 weeks, maybe, or let's say a couple of weeks. So, but these would work. This would be smooth and quiet. Everything would be fine. Let me also focus your attention to this wobble, right? So this is the wobble, and this is exactly the joint which would be mostly forced, or the most force, the most whatever wear would apply to this very joint. Now, what would happen after some 2 months, let's say? Well, after some 2 months with basically this exact design, this wobble would extend. Now, as you can see, at the very far edge, it's becoming quite concerning. You can even see very clearly bearing balls. At this stage, you can see maybe a little bit of sparkle. Factory grease would start mixing with dust and slight metal dust from those ever so slightly and slowly degrading bearing balls. At this stage, you would probably not see much issues. You wouldn't feel much of an issues, and only if you were to focus on this, you would see, oh, something is happening. This is looking worse than when they were new. And now, what would happen with this OEM design, this unbranded, no-name design, is that, let's say after, for me, it would be 5 to 7 months, that wobble would get this extreme. At this point, this is very wobbly. Actually, at this point, I would probably still not find these not that smooth and quiet. However, what I would notice, I mentioned that shmoo, that grease, which is now combined and mixed with all that metal, whatever dust, will start showing out on the bottom of my feet, because I am one of those guys who tend to sometimes put their feet on the wheels, and of course I would just wipe it off, and it's difficult to remove. So that would be my first indicator of, oh well, these are actually starting to fail. Now, we saw in the video, these ball bearings or bearing balls are actually moving inside. And this is not what should happen. Why do they move? Well, because many of them already fell out. When they were mounted on a chair, and as I mentioned that previous movement, so you slide yourself to your desk. Now you want to slide yourself away or push yourself away from the desk. There will be some force you apply so that it moves, and at some point this wheel will want to turn. And once again, at the 90 degree, when this wheel would actually start putting a lot of force against the floor, would come into the point where this wobble at this stage would get, and this gap here would get so large that sometimes with all that velocity, usually only one ball bearing would actually fall out. This is a completely open bearing design. This is not good. And eventually more balls would fall out. And as you can see, there are pretty large gaps. At this stage, the rotation still works, but it's now showing definite signs of not a smooth wear. And especially those bearings will fall out. It would stain your floor, difficult to remove, very annoying. And in, let's say, 1 or 2 more months before your nerves are completely racked by all those bearings and all that shmoo catching on everything, eventually enough balls would fall out that these would seize. Seize is a word you definitely encounter in other reviews. And unfortunately, these are an actual manufacturer garbage, and unfortunately, the same applies to those about $5 cheaper black color version of STEALTHO casters. Now, with these blue ones, are these better? Well, they have some redeeming quality or redeeming features which will help you to, let's say in my case, that 6 months would be 8 months, and maybe the point of completely ceasing would maybe be a year or maybe even a little more. But eventually, the same thing, the same wobble in the stem will also show on these. Now, compared to these, as you can see right now, previous ones would have actual screw head. Now we see some marks. Those are some hammer marks. This is how I believe that these are installed, so that there is a smaller rod which basically is pressure or friction fitted, usually likely from hammering it down with some machine inside this larger stem. By the way, just a very small, very quick note. These don't feel very smooth. This is one thing which even those almost completely wrecked ones have much better. here you can hear it very clearly on the video, and I really worry what would happen after half a year. But back to the topic. It's probably hammered down, friction fitted, and it looks like it's solid now, but trust me, those three also felt like that. However, after a couple of months, it will loosen up. There's enough of that force I mentioned in that movement when it will wear down. Prior to this particular wheel I got, once again with no screw head, there will be a Torx head. Now, there is some compatibility between Torx and hex heads. So if you were to have something like an Allen key, this one wouldn't fit. Some negative reviews mentioned this, that it was pretty much impossible to put an Allen key inside when there was an actual head. First, let me describe what that would happen. Now, when there's a wobble, that means that this is getting pretty loose. If there were an actual screw head, what you could do is that you could tighten it down. You could pretty much tighten it back to this stage when it almost doesn't move, pretty much extending its potential lifespan. I don't want to say indefinitely, but by many months and likely a couple of years. However, this option was removed, and this is an extremely concerning move from them. I would even not be surprised if this was done by their Chinese factory. I'm sure these are made in China without their approval or validation. Maybe it was more expensive to put an actual screw head, and they decided to screw it. We are now paying more. We have already 7,000 reviews, and nearly 6,000 reviews, and they're flying off the shelves. And why to spend that extra buck when we can save a buck and make people buy them even more frequently? Now, realistically, even before there was an actual screw head, I don't think that many people ever did that. Why? Well, I'm not sure how well it is visible. And as I mentioned, there are some other negative reviews which actually talk about that. You wouldn't really be able to put an Allen key inside. Once again, I mentioned there is some intercompatibility between Torx and Allen keys or Allen hex head. So you could find probably smaller than this or maybe this size Allen key which would actually fit, but not really, because wheel is in place. Why? Well, because during manufacturing, the wheel is not here when the stem is being basically assembled together. Now, it was still possible, whether you would have an option or someone else would be able to. Let me show you that. Cut this Allen key. So let's see. Cut this Allen key just short enough so that you would use this very little space to be able to jam it inside and screw it, or simply tightening it down. And maybe if there's enough of the screw thread exposed, you could even drop a single drop of thread locker to really help fix it inside. And this way you could delay that inevitable end of these, but this is no longer possible. And so this is pretty much now a manufacturer garbage. Now, there are some redeeming qualities versus this basic design, and you can notice, you can probably notice it already. There's this cap is very different. In this case, it's very deep. There is not much of that gap, although that gap looks about the same. But also, the bearings inside, this will be very hard / impossible to see, are not completely free to move around. There is, I even call it like marble cake form, for a baking form, which these are put in and of course greased, which kind of hold those bearings, ball bearings, in place, so that eventually, or potentially, as I mentioned with that one, or with all of these, but especially visible on that one, these bearings, even with more play, it is possible they will not fall out, but I cannot guarantee that. I will be returning these because this is an unacceptable product for the price, especially with me being international buyer, costing even more. And so this is a manufacturer garbage. No way to fix it. This will eventually die. You will have to rebuy these again. And in your case, or as in my case, usually for one will fail prematurely, you then buy a new set, then replace one, then the other one will start failing, or will be won't be very smooth to use, and it will fail. You will replace it, and this way you'll be stuck in this perpetual cycle of always paying this brand, which I don't think they did much of engineering whatsoever. This is a company which used the services of some OEM, probably in China, or China, I should say, and just bought them in bulk. There's one more thing I wanted to mention, and that was also brought up in a couple of reviews, that there seems to be quite a wearing quality of bearings for those wheels. You saw that that first one didn't move much, but look at this one. This moves much freely, much more smoothly for a longer time, showing that this is slightly better bearing, at least in the assembly. The bearing itself might be the same, but the assembly is of better quality. Also, the movement of this stem is slightly quieter and smoother than this other one, which is already not that smooth, and especially there are already some metal to metal grinding sound. I really don't like that as well. And so this is about it. I hope this will help you. I know that if you fell in love with these type of casters, you might be disappointed as I was. I really wasn't expecting to see this, but unfortunately it is what it is. If you don't mind spending, in case you are buying domestically, $35 at least once a year, then feel free to get it. But you are really creating just more garbage in this world. I'm not sure it's really worth it. If there was an actual screw head, you could prolong the life of it. Now, I don't want to speak too much about other options, but there are some options. I cannot show them to you, which look very similar, but have a very different stem design to others. Those others I might be mentioning but not showing you have actually what looks worse, a plastic body. Really, it doesn't sound that good to me. Plastic body, I cannot trust it. But that stem is very different. There's no exposed open bearing to speak of. It looks like the bearing is inside the shaft. And while I don't have them for long enough, and I cannot guarantee those would address the main glaring design flaw issue, it is possible those might be actually good. There are also some other alternatives, like wheels which have two roll blade wheels next to each other. They look much more closer to regular wheels. But I cannot really, I haven't tried those, so I can't say how smooth they are. They're probably just as quiet as these, which is great. Probably still well usable on hard and soft floors, or I should say carpets. But I really cannot speak much about how smooth they are to glide around. And so I think that really is this, really wraps it up. This is a huge disappointment. This company also has shown little signs of being interactive with customers. I saw reviews how customers contacted the manufacturer, especially previously about this bolt. So I hope that wasn't their solution and intention to fix it by completely removing a way to fix them. That there wasn't much of communication from their side. I cannot speak for them. I don't know who these guys are. I doubt there was much of engineering from their side. I doubt there was any engineer in their company to really help bringing this to the actual invention and inception. Okay, so I think I talked about this enough. My review stands 1 single star. I cannot recommend this. I would even take this as a public service announcement. Please don't buy these anymore. These have no future path to hold up for much longer, and especially if you are heavier person and you work from home, you will wear these much sooner than someone who is very light and uses their chair for maybe 2 hours a day. But take whatever you want from this. I hope I helped at least someone, and cheers. Take care, guys.
Wanted to shoot a quick video of the new office chair wheels that I just got in today. I just pulled them off the front porch through Amazon purchase. So these are the STEALTHO office chair wheels now. These are the rollerblade style, which I just got a new office chair, and the stock ones that came with it will roll fine. They're okay for carpet, but as far as for mats and for hardwoods, I wanted something different. The chair manufacturer even suggested that you get different wheels if you're going to be on harder surfaces, and to avoid ruining the hardwoods, I did a little research, and so I came across these wheels on Amazon. And if you're looking at them right now, which you probably are, you're seen some great video of how these wheels compare to its competitors. So I have brought one out of the package already, so let's take a look at this. And it is a good looking wheel. Let's get in here a little closer. And of course, the fun aspect of these wheels, as you'll know, is that they glow in the dark. Okay, well, all right, I might have been a little bit of a sucker for that. Glow in the dark, like I really need it, but hey, cool. All right, it's a fun little add-on, not functionally improving the product at all, but it does add a fun factor to it. Anyway, so one of the biggest things that they sell is the bearing system on this, and how well these wheels roll, and obviously make your chair easier to move across the floor. Anyway, so the first thing I did is I pulled them out, and as anybody would do when they unbox these things, we want to see how well that bearing is going to work. So are you ready? Here we go. Okay, that wasn't a camera glitch. That was straight out of the box. These things are tighter than tight. I thought perhaps maybe it was limited to a single wheel, so I pulled another one out, and it is the same thing. Even in their videos now, they specifically highlight how well these wheels turn compared to the competitor wheels. I'm going to have to say I'm pretty disappointed, and these will be going back. So let's pull that back a little bit. Now, the other thing was the swivel here. I'm going to have to tell you, the movement on the swivel is a bit disappointing as well. The bearings, they stick, and I will just tell you right now, that is going to make moving across the floor in multiple directions a little more difficult. So anyway, I just wanted to, now this may be limited to this one box. Hey, it's possible, but I don't know, that seems unreasonable to think. But I am unfortunately going to have to send these back for a better performing set of office chair wheels. I hope your experience, if you did order these, is better than mine. Unfortunately, mine is not, and these will be going back.
Pretty excited. Just got these STEALTHO wheels, office chair wheels. Got them on Amazon, obviously, because I'm posting this on Amazon. Let's see here. What is this? Do you want to be like Steve Jobs? He's not alive. Setup guide. Probably need that. Probably don't. We'll see. They come in nice packaging. I ordered these yesterday. Came in today. These are nice. I don't know why when I look at these, it just reminds me of like gummies. It kind of makes my mouth water. I don't know. I'm weird, but let's see. There's 5. Oh, I'm so dumb. For some reason, I was thinking my chair, a 4-legged chair, but yes, my computer chair does have 5 wheels. Okay. Dude, these are sweet. I'm pretty excited because my wheels suck on my chair. I had a pretty expensive chair. My wheels are plastic and stupid. I'm gonna put these on, and we'll see what they're like when they're on. Alright, here's my computer chair. I gotta film this on my bed because the kids are watching TV outside. I think we just yanked this off. Okay, sick. Take this off. These are my wheels, are just like plastic wheels. But STEALTHOs, let's see if they just pop back in. Nice. Put all 5 of these guys in here. That's easy. Look at this. Nice. Next one. I don't know if you can see this, but there's like grease in my hands now from the other wheels. They just snap right in. It's like butter. I'll put the rest of these on and give it a shot. Super quiet. They're dope.
I absolutely love these wheels. Look at how beautiful the bearings are. I mean, fabulous. And the tops of these are spectacular. Look at how solid. The bearings float beautifully. I heard another guy say something about them. He must have been a competitor because these are spectacular. I mean, they really are beautiful. I've never seen bearings sealed up like this so nicely. I can't wait to put them on the chair I've ordered. Wow, what a wheel. Look at this thing. It's spectacular. And they even glow in the dark. Just buy them.